Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Thursday morning. We're now up to the 4th day of September 2025, and this is the morning briefing. Looking out the window from the home weather office, beautiful morning. We have comfortable temperatures, blue sky, not much in the way of a breeze. Really nice day. And all in all, we are going to see a warm but not overly hot day, but we are on the cusp of much cooler weather that's not only going to come in for the next few days, it's probably going to stick around for a while. But we have a lot of things to get to this morning. I'm going to start with the satellite, as I usually do. We have all that moisture now off to the east. We have moisture down to the south. There's marine layer along the coast, which is great. Onshore flow, which is good too. But we also have a fair amount of smoke. Zoom in on that a little bit. This is from the Garnet Fire, now over 30,000 acres. And continuing to burn. This, they said it wasn't very active yesterday, added roughly 1,000 acres or so, but it just continues to find a lot of fuel. And I would suggest that if you want a deep dive on this and some of the other fires, Zeke Lunder always does a great job on the Lookout, so check out the Lookout here on YouTube. And Zeke has a lot to say about what's going on with this fire and the land that it has already burned and what led to that. It's kind of a mess. Anyway, that does continue to put up smoke, and as you can see, that smoke comes up through the Sierra, but there are other fires burning to the north that are contributing to some of that as well. There's also a fire down here, I forget what the name of this one is, in Fresno County. This one started a couple of days ago. This one I think is up to about 12,000 acres. So we have various fires going on. And some of the smoke, of course, is elevated, and some of it is down at the surface. So let's take a look at purple air here, the 10,000-foot view. This is Modesto right here. Let it refresh for a second. There's Modesto, there's Sacramento. And as you can see, these are the areas that are mostly impacted by the smoke coming off the Garnet Fire. AQI up over 200 here just to the east of Fresno, and then up through Tuolumne County and through Calaveras County, and even into parts of Amador County. We have air quality that isn't great. The orange is just not great. It isn't into the unhealthy range until you get to these red ones. And as I often say, when you see a random red one like this, it doesn't mean really anything. That's why I like to take the 10,000-foot view, like in here. But as you can see, the general trend here through the foothills all along Highway 49 is there is some smoke in the air, and it also continues into the Tahoe Basin as well. This should mix out a little bit in these areas this afternoon, but in areas from Tuolumne County through Mariposa County and farther to the south, it's likely to stay, the air quality is likely to stay not that great. Let me go back to the satellite, because yes, of course, we still have some marine layer here, which is great news. And as we widen out, let me try to widen out a little bit. You can see some high thin clouds coming in on the top of it. I know it's kind of tough to tell. This is high cloudiness, and this is smoke. The smoke isn't moving as quickly as the clouds are. So we have a general flow coming in here, which is nice. But I want to take an even wider look at what's going on here. We'll take a look at the full disk view. Try to get this into my smaller frame here. So here's California. This is a tropical storm. This is a hurricane. So for that, let's go to the National Hurricane Center and scroll this up. So this is Tropical Storm Lorena, and then there's Hurricane Kiko. So let's explore here on the National Hurricane Center. We go here and then here. So here are the details about Lorena. There's Cabo right there. Stormy here, certainly, but this doesn't look like it's going to go very far. Right now, maximum sustained winds of 70 miles an hour, moving northwest at just 8 miles an hour. And by Friday, it's here. By Saturday, Sunday, it's just kind of drifting and falling apart. So going from a tropical storm to a depression and falling apart. And some of that moisture will feed into Arizona, but it doesn't look as though that moisture is going to impact California. But if you do have travel plans down at Cabo, it does look as though the seas there will stay pretty rough, and it may stay somewhat stormy. All right, so let's go back out to Kiko, because I am sure that this will be making big headlines today, something along the lines of hurricane heading to Hawaii. So let's explore that. Pretty good sized hurricane, 130 mile an hour winds, a major hurricane here, category 3, and it's expected to stay strong through the weekend, as you can see here with the path. And then here is the big island of Hawaii. And we often see these in the Eastern Pacific, and they do make a lot of headlines because they can come close to Hawaii and certainly have an impact. But a couple of things to point out here. One, this is going to weaken. So yeah, if I wanted to make a big headline, I could say a category 3 hurricane heading to Hawaii, which is technically true because it is a category 3 headline storm, and it is moving toward Hawaii. But by Monday, it weakens to a hurricane underneath the major hurricane, so category 1 or 2. And then by Tuesday, as it encounters colder water, it will be down to a tropical storm, and then likely brushing by the islands as a weakened storm, making it stormy, but not the same as a category 3 hurricane hitting. But the other thing is that from Thursday to Tuesday, we'll see just how fast this does fall apart. Usually the decaying process of these is pretty quick because the water here is much warmer than the water here. And so once you lose the warmer water, you start to see a rapid decaying process. So if you are going to, let's say, be in Hawaii next week, I would be paying attention to this, but not so much that I would cancel any plans. You may get a rainy day or two, but it's not like it's going to have a major hurricane hitting the islands. So if you see a headline like this, just keep this track in mind. And this is from the National Hurricane Center, the only source that you should be depending on for something like this. Let's take a look at the big picture with the 500 millibar chart. Some weak ridging here, which is going to help to promote a warm day today, but nothing too hot. Generally, low to mid 90s up and down the valley. Then during the day tomorrow, we get this weak trough that starts to come our way. Nudges the high farther to the east, more of an onshore flow, and that could keep temperatures in the upper 80s for Friday. And then we stay in the upper 80s over the weekend. What day are we up to now? This is Sunday. So pleasant weekend coming up. Then into next week, the trough actually deepens and a low comes our way. We may see some rain. I'll show you more on that here in just a minute in the mountains. And this would provide even cooler daytime highs. We'd be talking about low 80s for next week. And this isn't just like a passing fad. This is all the way up through, this is next Friday. So we could see cooler weather with temperatures in the 80s start as early as tomorrow, and then perhaps dip to the low 80s early next week, and then may only return to the upper 80s by the end of next week. So not only we're not talking about hundreds, we may not even be talking about 90s after this week. Not saying we're done with 90s for the year, but because certainly this pattern could promote some warmer weather, some hotter weather, but this is out into fantasy land or out into mid-September now, and we'll see just what happens with that. And speaking of fantasy land, I'm also guessing that this is going to make some headlines because the GFS continues to pop up a hurricane here. But again, this is into the middle of the month, and I've already seen people say, oh, wait for the next GFS run, and that sort of thing. Let's take a look at our closer weather. Let me go to this one instead. We'll start with the HRRR to see where we're going to see any thunderstorms today. Maybe around Portola and Whitehawk, but certainly down the east side of the Sierra. I'd include areas like Monitor Pass, down toward Walker and Bridgeport, and then all the way down toward Bishop, and then farther to the east, toward Hawthorne. That's today. And then during the day tomorrow, even farther to the east. So really almost nothing in California, maybe something in Modoc County. All the activity during the day Friday will be off to the east, and over the weekend, nothing going on in the Tahoe Basin other than comfortable temperatures. So if your weekend includes being in Tahoe or in the Sierra, it's going to be great. Very comfortable weekend. All right, let's take a look at the long range here. So for that, we'll switch over to the GFS. And here's showing that same sort of a pattern with everything staying off to the east over the weekend. I want to get into next Monday, Tuesday. So what day are we up to now? This is Tuesday afternoon. This could actually be some beneficial rain because temperatures will be cooler, and I don't think we'll see as much in the way of thunderstorm activity. This could actually be real rain coming down. And so that would actually be wetting rains as opposed to the dry lightning sort of things going on. And with cooler temperatures also help to enhance higher humidity, which helps fire situations. And this is into the day on Wednesday. Some mountain rain likely as that deep trough